Hello my lovelies. First things first, I apologise for the audio. My microphone is broken and Stuart's having a lie down at the minute, so I can't find his microphones and I don't want to wake him up because he's done a lot this morning. He's put up various shelves and wardrobes and things for Annie, so I'm not going to wake him up. So hopefully the audio will improve as we go through the video, but right now I'm microphoneless and just depending on my phone audio, which I know is not brilliant, so I do apologise. Welcome to a wet and wild Cornwall. It's a horrible day outside, absolutely horrible. I've had to put all my filming lights on because it's so dark and the weather is appalling, and yet one of the cats still is determined to go out and keep shouting at me. Anywho, she can just stay inside because it's just revolting out there. How are we all this week? I hope you're all having a smashing week. I've got a bit of a funny one this week. I've got a bit of a strange one this week. So I obviously I'm not, still knitting in the background, but I have a couple of kind of craft adjacent things to do this week. Not straight up, sewing and things. My very lovely friend is giving me her sewing unit because she's having to clear out her spare room. So I'm taking delivery of this hopefully over the weekend, and it's one of those ones where it's like it all folds up and looks like a sideboard, and then you open the doors and there's like drawers that come out and drawers inside, and there's a bit where you can put the sewing machine that comes up and all that. I'm very excited. Obviously I've got this for my sewing machine, so I don't really need a bit for my sewing machines, but more storage is always good. And also I have another sewing machine up there that does other fancy stitches and things. It's not an embroidery machine, but it does other fancy stitches, so it does give me somewhere to put that if I want to. So in preparation for that, Stuart has moved the big table and my little drawer unit through to the conservatory until I see how big this thing is and how much space it's going to take up. Stuart's teasing me that I am annexing the conservatory, which up till now has kind of been his space. It's where his office is, and he's like, are you just like sneakily annexing my conservatory? I'm like, possibly. I was like, once I've put my things from the little drawers into the new unit, there might be drawer space for you to use. But he's not convinced because he thinks I'm just going to bring in more craft stuff to put in those drawers, and let's be honest, I probably am. I've got in the garage, I've got a whole big box of jewellery making stuff, because I used to do jewellery making quite a long time ago, and it's been in the garage ever since we moved into this house, which is like 3 years, and Annie is desperate for me to get it out so that she can do some beading and things. So he's already clocked the fact that I'm probably just going to fill the little drawers with other arts and crafts supplies. Although Kurt has requested some space for his models and paints, so I will free up at least one drawer for him, possibly two, because he says he's more likely to do them down here than in his room, which is great. I love when he does them down here because we can chat while he's doing them. So yes, I am ever so slightly annexing the conservatory, but shh, don't tell him that he's right. We don't like telling him that he's right. So yes, so the excitement of the new cabinet coming, but that has meant, so the boys have taken the units through. I've given the windowsill a jolly good clean because I haven't really been able to reach it for a really good clean for a while, and you could absolutely tell because the cats like to sit there, and there was quite a lot of fluff, and they've knocked the plants over a couple of times and things like that, so you could tell that I hadn't cleaned it for a while. So I've given that a jolly good clean. So the other thing that needs to happen is a jolly good hoover. It's had a preliminary hoover, but it really needs a jolly good hoover because it's not been terribly thoroughly done. The other thing that we have going on in the background is my lovely girl Fingers the cat. Fingers McGraw is her full name. Kindly brought us in some fleas. which has been a nightmare, and can I tell you, I have been eaten alive. So we're desperately trying to get on top of this. Unfortunately, one of the places the cats really like to sleep is in amongst Annie's clothes. Annie has a very tiny bedroom and there's no space for a chest of drawers or a wardrobe, so she does have a little inset cupboard with shelves in it, and her clothes are kept in boxes in there, and the cats really love to sleep in them, which is fine and cute and lovely until they bring in fleas. So what I've been doing over this week is literally washing every single article of clothing that Annie owns. We've pulled everything out of her room. We've washed every blanket, we've washed our soft toys, we've sprayed our mattress, we've done everything we can do. And washed every single article of clothing that she has. And we used it as an opportunity to go through her clothes, see what still fits her, see what she still wears, see what she wants to get rid of, anything needing mended, things like that. So I've got a little mending pile to get through. So I might show you one or two bits and pieces of mending across this week, because I've got a couple of things that I would quite like to share with you on the mending front, to make things more usable for her. So we've got that going on. So as I say, a bit of a weird bits and pieces craft adjacent week as opposed to actual crafting a lot of the time. And obviously once the unit arrives, I will be bringing my drawers back through to, you know, organise the new drawers and put things away. So I might show you some of that, give you a tour of the new unit and all that good stuff. So that's what we're up to this week. It's a busy week, it's a weird week, but I'll take you along for the ride, because obviously we'll just see how much I get done. In the meantime, I've got about 3 or 4 different sewing projects in the back of my mind that I can't decide which one to do first. I've got the old project paralysis, so it's probably good that I'm having a week where I can't get my teeth into a project, because that'll give me time to decide which project I'm going to get my teeth into, if that makes sense. So that's where we're at this week, my lovelies. I hope you enjoy our craft adjacent week, and yeah, let's just get on with things, shall we? Hello, my lovelies. I've got a different microphone today. I've got Stuart's microphone, so let's hope this works and my audio is a little bit better. So nothing much has been happening in the last few days. I haven't been too great, so I've just been taking things very, very easy. We've got a slight delay on the sewing unit because my friend wasn't very well at the weekend, so it's not coming till tomorrow, but that's fine. That means I had lots of time to get completely ready for it to arrive, so that's smashing. What I've been doing is knitting. I'm knitting my neck warmer. I meant to show you how I did these pleats and I completely forgot, but it's really easy. So basically, I'm knitting a tube. I knitted a tube to start with, and I started here, and the pleats are just made by picking up a row, like a few rows. I think it was 6 or 7 rows beneath. So you place markers in one row, you knit another 6 or 7 rows, and then you pick up the stitches from the row, you know, the previous where you've placed the markers, and then you do it again, and that just gives you these little 2 pleats pleated into it. So it looks like a fancy effect, but it's really really easy. And then finished off knitting the tube, did a 3 needle bind off, and now all I've got to do is so that gets sewn together at the end like that to make a loop, and then at this end we sew it together in and put the flower on. So all I've got to do is knit the flower. The flower is knit in 3 parts, like you knit a big flower, a middle flower and a small flower, and then put a button in the middle. So that's what I finished this last night. I finished the tube bit last night, so this goes round like so, and then obviously once the flower's on, it is a lovely little neck warmer. So today I'm going to knit the flower, so I shall show you how I do that. and that'll be ready for my friend to pick up on Wednesday, which will be great because she's heading back up to where she lives on Wednesday, so that'll save me having to post it. And then today, because I haven't been very well, I haven't been out the house very much for weeks. And I said to Stuart yesterday, the day before, I can't remember, I really fancied like a silly coffee. Do you know what I mean? Like, at this time of year in the autumn, they do like the pumpkin spice lattes and all that. And I just like, I want to go out and have a silly coffee. Just that, just a silly coffee. So today, all the bills for the month were paid. Our month starts on the 12th. So the last of our money came in today. Everything for the month was paid off, and there was a little tiny bit left. And Stuart was like, let's go out for a silly coffee. So it's a horrible day here because we've been hit by another storm. It's storm season here in Cornwall. But we just went locally in the town, a little coffee shop called Hearts. And I got a gingerbread latte and a billionaire's brownie, a brownie with caramel in it. It was delicious, actually. And it was really lovely because, we're down here in Cornwall, and the lady behind, we live very near a naval base. The lady behind the counter, her husband was in the Navy. And we were chatting and we were joking about the Scottish accent and things. And she says, oh, no, I understand the Scottish accent because my children were born in Scotland. And I was like, oh, how lovely. Where were your children born? In the same hospital as my two girls. At around about the same time, the kids are the same age. And we were like, oh my goodness, we could have like passed in the street back then. And there was a naval base near where we lived at the time up in Scotland. Up at the naval base up there is called Rosyth. And we lived in Dunfermline, which was like the next town. And that's where her husband was based at the time. So we were up having our children in the same maternity ward at the same time. It was really weird. And they lived, we would have shopped in the same shops because that's where they went for shopping, was our town. And it was really quite, she was delighted because she was like, oh, she's just such a connection. That's so lovely. So that was fun. And then after I had my silly coffee, I went to the charity shop. There was very little in the charity shop today, apart from this. Now, you'll all be going, Liz, what the devil? What is that? This, my friends, is a clapper, tailor's clapper. A lot of you will have known that. So what you do is when I'm doing my sewing and I iron my seams, I press this onto the seams after I've ironed them, and the wood absorbs some of the moisture and the heat, and I hold it for a little minute. The weight and the absorption makes the seam stay in place better, and it gives you sharper, crisper seams. And I got this with a grand total of £2. I'm absolutely delighted with this. So, a clapper. It was well worth going out this morning. So that's it for just now. I'm going to sit down with my feet up and knit this flower. And I will try and remember to film at least some of it. I would quite like to, I've got, what you can't see right in front of me here on the little ironing board is a little bundle of Annie's clothes needing altered or repaired. And I would like to get to them at some point this week, but I am lacking energy this week, lacking a bit of energy. So I will get to them when I get to them. And if it is this week, then I will video it and show you. If it's not, sorry. That's how it's going at the minute. So yes, I'm going to get on with some knitting. So first thing is first, please excuse the fact that I just dipped my sleeve in my coffee cup. It's going to be one of those days. And, I really shouldn't wear fancy sleeves because I'm a danger to shipping. So anyway, we're doing the flower embellishment. So this is the pattern that I'm using is, it's called Coralino, and it's by Alison Stewart Guinea at knittingbyhand.com. And this is how it looks. Although I've taken the decision they've got it purl side out, whereas I've got it stockinette side out. I prefer it that way. So that's where I was up to. I'd got the tube ready, and now we're doing the flower. So I was to knit 6 rows, but again I've done it as stockinette, just personal preference. We're on row 7. We're going to knit 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to take the left needle, this is left, and rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise. So we're going to go like this, which twists over the knitting like this. And then we're going to do it again. Knit 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then twirl it and do it again. And this gives us this beautiful, beautiful edge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to turn it around. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and twirl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and twirl. And twirl. There we go. Gives us an absolutely gorgeous little edge. So then we to do, once we've got our lovely little frilled edge, it says to do 5 rows of knit. Once again, I'm going to do stockinette. Just, I mean, it's purely personal preference. What it'll probably do is, because I'm doing stockinette instead of garter stitch, it'll make the flower a little bit bigger, because obviously garter stitch, the rows don't grow as so fast, but it should just, that'll be the only difference, I think, I hope. So I shall get on and do these 5 rows, and then I'll show you what comes next. Okay, so I've done my 5 rows, and now it's time to do a decrease row. So I've knit 4, knit 2 together, and repeat all the way across. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 2 together, 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 2 together, 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 2 together, and then the next row I knit 3 and then knit 2 together. I should not have spoken because now up 2, 3, 4. That's the thing with knitting, you do spend quite a lot of time also counting. 3, 4, and if someone asks you a question, you just count louder at them. My family are quite used to that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. done something wrong somewhere, who cares? Right. So in the next row, I'm going to be doing knit 3, knit 2 together, and then the following row, knit 2, knit 2 together, and then knit 1, knit 2 together, and then knit 2 all the way across. So I will carry on with that, and I will meet you back when we're at the end of that. So while I was knitting my decrease rows, I've been joined by Alvia for a snuggle, but that's fine. She just loves to have a little snuggle while I'm knitting. So I've done all my decrease rows, and that's brought us down to this. You can see where we're going. So now what we do is snip off the yarn and get out our little needle, thread our needle, and then take the yarn through all these stitches and take them off the needle. Can you see what I'm doing? Sorry, Albion, I'm disturbing you. I do apologise. Okay, and then we're going to pull them all up and we're going to stitch it together into a circle. And then we're going to do it 3 more times with less stitches each time to make our flower. So let's just stitch this together. Oh, little sleepy cat. Little sleepy cat. This is the cat I should have had while I was bedridden. She would have been in her element because that's all she wants to do is snuggle. She's the happiest when I'm in bed. She's been snuggled with me all morning up in bed, and then she was quite cross when I decided to get up. Bless her. She is a lovely little snuggle monkey. Do love her to bits. Her sister's not so snuggly. Her sister likes to be out and about and doing, but this one is my wee snuggle monkey. Ain't you, baby girl? And she's very definitely my girl. Her sister likes to be with Stuart or Kurt quite a lot, but this girl, Albia, is my girl. Ain't you, sweetie pie? I'm sorry if you can hear my machines in the background. It's Monday, which means it is laundry day, and I've got washing machines and tumble dryers going in the kitchen, catching up on all the laundry for the week. I like to get it all done over the course of Monday, Tuesday, and then if I have got any ironing, I try and tackle it on Wednesday. Although I don't do everybody's ironing. I only do my own ironing because they're perfectly capable of doing their own ironing. Kurt knows how to iron a shirt. Stuart knows how to iron a shirt. They can do their own. And nowadays, not that many clothes need iron, do they? But because I tend not to wear an awful lot of sort of t-shirty fabrics, I do occasionally have shirts and even some of my pyjamas. I find them more comfortable if they've been ironed. I know it sounds ridiculous to iron your pyjamas, but they're just that wee bit more comfortable if they've been ironed. Okay, so that's it sewn up, and once we've got the other 2 petals in and the button on, it'll look like a really cute little flower. I'll just weave the ends in, make sure they stay nice and secure, because what we don't want, particularly since this is used as the fastening, so it does get sort of handled quite a bit, what we don't want is it coming apart on us, unravelling. That would not be ideal. So I'll just weave these ends in nice and securely and snip them off. So I will weave the other ends in, do another 2 flower petals, and meet you back when it's time to assemble the flower. So the second flower is slightly different, and once you've done the twist, 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 we're immediately we just do one more row, and then we're on to decreases, and we're straight away knitting 2 together all the way across. So we're obviously, this flower has to be quite a bit smaller to fit in the middle of the bigger one. So rather than doing any extra stocking it, we're going straight into decreases, and we've got knit 2 together all the way across this row, then knit a row, then 2 together all the way across, and yeah, so we've still got 3 rows of decreases, but they're coming much sooner than they were last time, which and then the last flower is slightly different again, so I will walk you through the last flower when I come to it. Right, so this one's a little bit different. I've cast on the amount of stitches. I've knit 3 rows, and then we pass each stitch one at a time over the first stitch and off the needle. So, okay, so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, don't disappear yet, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, oh, fiddly this, isn't it? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And then we cut the yarn and fasten off by putting the remaining stitch, by putting the threading it through the remaining stitch. Okay. Okay, and then we're going to thread this through the remaining stitch, like so. Pull it up, and then it forms a little rosette. Very cute. Very cute. And then we basically secure it by threading it through the back. Okay, so this is my cast on edge, I'm just gonna tuck that in, secure it. I didn't leave myself a very long cast on edge. There we go, which makes it just a tiny bit more fiddly. Just weave those ends in. Like so, and then trim that off. And then I'm going to rethread this centre one from the rosette and use it to sew through the centre of all the flowers. Now they use this little rosette as the centerpiece for the flower. I tended to use a button, but you could just leave it with the rosette if you wished. So we're going to put that through the centre of that one and through the centre of that one, like so. It's really quite cute, isn't it? I love the way it's come out. It's really sweet. Now, I have a decision to make. Am I going to put a button in the middle, or am I just going to leave it as the rosette? What do we reckon? I might just leave it as the rosette, because that looks quite cute. Okay. Make sure that's nice and securely on. And then we get the knitted tube. So we put the flower on the end furthest from the pleats. So we're going to put that in the centre of that and then gather it all into there. And then bring that end in like so. I'm going to bring that end in like so. I'm going to bring a bit from the middle there into there, and from the middle there into the centre. And I'm just going to keep doing that until it's sitting like so on the end of the tube. I've come unthreaded, hang on. And then we just secure it all down. Made a right mess of threading that. This yarn has a tendency to, separate into its constituent parts, which makes it a little bit annoying when you're threading it through the needle, because it kind of comes apart a bit. It's beautiful yarn. I think I've already mentioned it's a mixture of cashmere, merino and silk, and it just makes it so delightful and obviously completely not itchy to wear around your neck, because the silk gives it a smoothness and the cashmere and merino is so soft. It's just joyous. It's joyous to wear. Oh, come on, thread it again. So annoying. Okay, let's just finish it off with a few knots. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to thread the yarn down inside the tube, and that should be pretty secure. Like so. So that's the flower end, and then at the other end we take the thread that was left for me bound I did a Kitchener stitch to bind the cast on edge together so that it looked nice and neat. And then we'll take that and I'm just going to sew that to the other end, like so. And just make sure that it's lovely and secure. There we go. So we've got our flower on one end and our pin together on the other end, and then we just pop it around our neck like so, and you push the flower through this end, and there you have your lovely cozy little neck warmer. Isn't it cute? I've got a few of these in different colours now, and sometimes, so you can use it as a neck warmer, and sometimes if the weather's really cold and I've got my hair up, I use it around my head as an ear warmer. So it's multifunctional and it's really cute. So now I can text my friend and tell her it's ready and she can come and get it. So that is it for me and my little snuggle buddy for this week. I hope you and your loved ones are feeling safe and well, and I'd love to know what you've been up to, what's bringing you joy this week, what crafty projects are you getting up to, and hopefully next week I will have the energy to have a slightly more productive week. But until then, I'm going to love you and leave you. Love from Liz.